The world often praises intelligence as knowledge, degrees, or eloquence. Yet the truly sharp mind moves quietly, unseen, operating on layers of awareness that others cannot comprehend. There are habits, subtle and strange, that betray an inner brilliance. These are not taught in schools nor displayed in social media. They are markers of minds that observe, analyze, and act beyond the ordinary. 1. The habit of observing more than speaking. Consider the quiet soul who watches, who notices the micro-expressions, the inconsistencies, the unspoken dynamics. This is not shyness nor a lack of confidence. It is a deliberate observation. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Those who observe more than they speak are conserving their most valuable resource, their energy and focus. They analyze before acting. They calculate before revealing, and they understand before judging. The world may mistake them for silence or aloofness, but within lies a mind constantly mapping connections, decoding intentions, and predicting outcomes. This habit, odd as it may seem to the extroverted majority, reflects a cognitive depth that few possess. 2. The habit of embracing solitude to recharge the mind. Among the most telling habits of exceptionally intelligent minds is a tendency to retreat from the chaos of the world, to embrace solitude not out of loneliness, but as a conscious act of self-preservation and mental clarity. This habit often appears strange to those who equate intelligence with sociability or constant activity. Yet the Stoics understood this principle centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor-philosopher, advised, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." The individual who practices this habit does not seek isolation to escape life. Rather, they recognize that the mind is a fragile instrument capable of immense insight, only when it is free from unnecessary noise and distraction. In solitude, the high IQ individual can think critically, reflect deeply, and perceive patterns in the world that remain invisible to the distracted masses. They read between the lines of human behavior, see the motives hidden behind smiles and gestures, and anticipate consequences before they materialize. This retreat into solitude is not passive. It is a deliberate exercise in mental discipline, a conscious sharpening of the intellect. While others waste hours scrolling through superficial content, engaging in trivial debates, or surrendering their focus to fleeting pleasures, these individuals cultivate depth. They allow their minds to wander along the corridors of thought, exploring abstract concepts, connecting disparate ideas, and refining their strategies for life. They understand that true power comes not from being constantly seen or heard, but from internal mastery. This habit also reveals an emotional intelligence intertwined with cognitive brilliance. In solitude, high IQ individuals confront themselves, their fears, biases, and illusions. They do not shy away from uncomfortable truths about their own limitations. Here lies a profound self-awareness, the realization that understanding the self is the prerequisite to understanding the world. It is a strange habit because it requires a resistance to social validation, to the instinctive need for constant approval or engagement. The world may see them as aloof, distant, or even antisocial, but within lies a mind forging connections invisible to others. A mind growing sharper and more resilient with each quiet hour spent alone. Furthermore, solitude fuels creativity and problem solving. Einstein famously remarked, "I live in that solitude which is painful in youth, but delicious in the years of maturity." High IQ individuals often generate their most original ideas when alone, away from the influence of conventional thinking and societal expectations. In this silence, they cultivate a mental ecosystem where logic, intuition, and imagination intersect. They explore scenarios, rehearse solutions, and mentally simulate outcomes in ways that most people, overwhelmed by the constant demands of interaction, cannot achieve. Embracing solitude also strengthens emotional resilience. The high IQ individual learns to derive contentment internally rather than relying on external affirmation or the unpredictable moods of others. This habit allows them to navigate life with equanimity, to respond to challenges with calm calculation rather than impulsive reaction. It is a quiet but potent power, the ability to remain centered, composed, and deliberate no matter how chaotic the external world becomes. 3. A habit of questioning everything, even the obvious. Another habit that quietly betrays the presence of exceptional intelligence is the relentless act of questioning everything, always. The high IQ individual rarely accepts what is presented at face value. While the majority of people move through life relying on assumptions, social conditioning, or unexamined beliefs, the intellectually extraordinary mind interrogates reality itself. This habit can appear strange, even socially disruptive, to outsiders. It may seem contrarian, skeptical, or unnecessarily complicated. Yet, it is this very inclination to question that separates a truly perceptive mind from the ordinary. The Stoics emphasize the value of careful discernment. Epictetus reminds us, "Do not seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." This mindset is not passive compliance. It is the rigorous questioning of assumptions, both external and internal, to navigate the world with clarity. High IQ individuals instinctively apply this principle. They examine motives, scrutinize claims, and analyze consequences before forming judgments. They understand that the surface is often misleading, that appearances hide complexity, and that the truth rarely arrives without scrutiny. This habit manifests in multiple dimensions. In conversation, the high IQ person listens not merely to respond, but to dissect the underlying logic. They detect inconsistencies, spot assumptions, and challenge narratives that the average mind accepts unquestioningly. In learning, they dig beneath superficial knowledge, exploring not only the what, but the why and how. In decision-making, they anticipate unintended consequences by questioning every potential outcome, revealing connections and implications invisible to those content with simplicity. The act of questioning, however, is not purely intellectual. It is deeply psychological. High IQ individuals often possess a heightened self-awareness born from the same habit. They question their own biases, emotional impulses, and habitual thinking patterns. They are unafraid to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves, a practice many avoid. This introspective questioning leads to refined judgment and emotional resilience. It fosters humility, for they recognize the limits of certainty, and courage, for they are willing to challenge convention and stand apart from popular opinion. What makes this habit particularly weird is its social consequence. While questioning everything can alienate peers or provoke friction, high IQ individuals accept this isolation as the cost of mental freedom. They understand that truth, clarity, and insight are more valuable than the comfort of conformity. In fact, the ability to think independently without the need for approval or consensus is often one of the defining traits of high intelligence. They can walk among the crowd, yet remain mentally untouchable, untouched by superficial influences, their minds operating on a plane inaccessible to those swayed by social momentum. This constant questioning also fuels creativity and problem-solving. By refusing to accept conventional wisdom, the high IQ individual can generate novel ideas and unorthodox solutions. They perceive gaps where others see closure, anomalies where others see consistency. They embrace paradoxes and contradictions, knowing that real insight often emerges from tension and uncertainty. In solitude or in conversation, this habit leads to discoveries that transform ordinary perspectives into profound understanding. Yet the habit of questioning is not reckless doubt. It is disciplined, deliberate, and analytical. High IQ individuals do not question merely to be skeptical. They question to uncover deeper truths, to refine their understanding, and to prepare themselves for the unpredictability of life. This habit, cultivated over years, becomes a lens through which they view the world, cautious, perceptive, and quietly powerful. In essence, a habit of questioning everything reveals a mind unwilling to be enslaved by appearances, traditions, or superficial explanations. It is a strange, almost solitary practice. Yet, it is one of the clearest indicators of intellectual depth. Those who cultivate it navigate life with a rare combination of clarity, independence, and insight, perceiving patterns, understanding motives, and anticipating outcomes that the majority never even notice. It is the mark of a mind quietly untouchable, operating in shadows where others only stumble in light. 4. The habit of seeking solitude to think and recharge. One habit that often goes unnoticed yet silently signals extraordinary intelligence is the deliberate pursuit of solitude. While many flee from being alone, filling every quiet moment with noise, distractions, or social obligations, high IQ individuals instinctively understand that true mental clarity arises in isolation. This habit may seem strange, even antisocial, to the casual observer. Yet it is precisely in solitude that they cultivate the space to reflect, analyze, and plan. The Stoics valued this practice deeply. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who carried the weight of an entire empire, wrote in Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." To withdraw from the chaos of external pressures is not an act of avoidance. It is a disciplined choice to strengthen the mind and fortify the spirit. High IQ individuals instinctively apply this principle. By stepping away from constant social input, they prevent their thoughts from being diluted by superficial chatter and the judgments of others. In solitude, the intelligent mind observes patterns, evaluates decisions, and questions assumptions without interference. It is a mental sharpening, a training ground where ideas grow unchallenged by the noise of collective opinion. This habit allows them to process emotions and experiences, transforming fleeting impressions into lasting insights. Unlike the average person who may feel lonely or restless when alone, the high IQ individual finds empowerment in the stillness. They recognize that true strength, emotional, intellectual, and strategic, comes from within, not from external validation. Solitude also fuels creativity and problem solving. High IQ individuals often generate their best ideas when alone, unbound by the constraints of consensus or expectation. They use silence as a lens to observe the world more accurately, noticing subtleties that escape the distracted mind. While others chase constant interaction or approval, these individuals cultivate independence of thought, a quiet confidence that renders them untouchable in discussions, decisions, and personal challenges. Yet this habit is not mere isolation for the sake of comfort. It is intentional, disciplined, and strategic. They withdraw not to hide, but to grow, to reflect, and to emerge sharper and more prepared. It is a practice of self-mastery, the ability to control attention, regulate emotions, and resist the compulsions that dominate ordinary minds. Ultimately, the habit of seeking solitude signals a profound inner intelligence. It reveals a mind capable of reflection, resilience, and independent judgment. In a world dominated by distraction, the ability to turn inward, to listen to one's own thoughts, and confront one's own truths becomes a rare and potent form of power. It is a habit that quietly separates the perceptive from the superficial, the thoughtful from the reactive, and the extraordinary from the ordinary.